Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
TFG Football is an IVM production, and you can also check out their other awesome shows like Simplified, a show that explains intense topic from around the world and simplifies it for you so that you can appear cooler in front of your friends.
You're listening to TFG Football.
Hi guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the TFG Indian Football Podcast. The situation is not really ideal for us at the studio. It's just me over here, and we are hoping for the best of recovery to be given to Siju and Nikhil, so that we can have a studio full of exciting talkers over here, or it's just me talking to Chiranjit. And Chiranjit, as you know, he's traveling all the while, and he's also in another location. Chiranjit, where are you?
Yeah, I am in Guwahati airport right now. I just got through the security check. Oh man, I'm going crazy over here. This is my fifth city in 6 days, and actually I'm going to Aizawl, so we'll have my sixth city in 6 days.
Wow.
So hopefully when I'm in Aizawl, I'll manage to get you some good updates on Mizoram Premier League and other stuff that's happening over there, and some updates about Aizawl FC's upcoming I-League season. So fingers crossed for that. But dude, we have never had this kind of situation before, man.
Yeah.
Like, Siju is in the hospital. She, for everybody, she's been diagnosed with dengue. So, I'm hoping it's not very serious. Hopefully, she'll be back with us very soon. So, at the rate Siju Matthew 94, please wish her, best of luck, and wish her, pray for her recovery very soon. Nikhil is also, he's recovering from an operation. So I don't remember when the last time it happened that we had so many people out, retired hurt, out of the action.
And we don't even have lots of substitutes to make this correct. So wishing the both of them.
We actually have just those many people. It's a very tight thing that we run at TFG.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be you and me today, Kevin.
Yeah, all right. We are moving closer to two important things. Is the World Cup that's coming in, less than around 20 days to go, and also a big step in the Indian football is it's not a proper merger, but very close to the merger. At least we've got all the possible teams playing together this season. So that's beginning in November, right after the World Cup ends, a little break after the World Cup ends, and then we head on to a parallel league where we'll see I-League and ISL happening simultaneously. We're not sure if they'll be running at the same times, probably not. So Chiranjit, what do we talk about first? Two great topics to talk about. I didn't mention about the CFL match fixing scandal that's out there, and it's there to tarnish the image of the age-old Calcutta Football League. So coming to the CFL, what do we have here? Is it something that is going to bother the schedule of the CFL this year?
I mean, yeah, look, this is not the first time such a concern has been raised. We know that in CFL there are some shady stuff going on here and there. Even last season, I think we covered it on the fangarage.com, there were allegations of a match fixing between two of the lower teams in the table. And, there was a situation where some newspaper ran an exposure that one of the club officials was caught talking about it and openly admitting it in a tea shop or something like that. It's very weird, all this gup shop and all the confessions and exposes happen out of tea shop in the Maidan. It's a bit of a weird thing that happens in CFL. But one of the things that sets this apart is that this is not just hearsay. This time the allegation is coming out of Sports Radar, who are employed by FIFA to look after the integrity of the leagues happening in India, and not many people knew that they were looking at CFL this season. Even IFA got surprised, and then the whole thing blew up. I mean, even Republic TV is covering CFL. I mean, they never report on the matches or who won the league or anything like that. But this news has come up, and the national media, some of the big news channels are talking about CFL and who might be involved and all of that. What sort of strikes me as odd is that the match fixing saga or the narrative of the match fixing is always at the bottom of the table and towards the end of the league when you have the relegation being decided, and it's almost always that some club needs a high goal difference to avoid relegation, or needs 3 points to get out of the relegation zone, something like that. That's where all these shady things come into play. So it was Taliganj versus Rainbow. None of these teams are actually threatened by relegation by any means. They're not very late into the league either. Why would they try to fix a game at this point is what puzzles me. Because fifth and sixth in the table, you don't need to do that. They are actually pretty good, doing pretty well. They have been giving some tough time to Mohammedan Sporting and Mohun Bagan as well. They are nowhere near threatened by that. In fact, the team is so good that they almost beat, and the Rainbow team is so good that they almost beat Mohun Bagan. And if you are in a situation like that, why would you compromise? So it just seems like either this was a bookie involvement, which just chose this match randomly, or some of the power players who, for some reason, chose this match to make their move, or just a case that a few corrupt players were, together in this particular match because they are spread around both these teams. It's not clear yet. We'll have to see what report comes out after IFA investigates it. But this can go very wrong for IFA because so often we've heard allegations of match fixing coming out of here and there, and IFA just does a naam ka vaste idhar-udhar kuch investigation happens and then nothing comes out. Yeah. Nobody gets punished. Nobody gets called to a question for what has happened. Same thing happened with the allegation that last season came out. So hopefully this time, because it's FIFA taking the initiative this time, maybe IFA will have to look into it. And we may see some big names in the Maidan come into question and a couple of heads rolling. So this is going to be interesting how it unfolds over the next few months.
Yeah. So just a mention of the game that we are talking about. This was held on the 25th of August. So that's between Taliganj Agragami and NBP Rainbow AC. So these are the two that the report says. And according to the sources, Sports Radar says they had prior information of the result that the game would end into, and that's the reason the suspicions grew stronger, and there was an inquiry almost immediately, and the AFF was alerted, and the integrity officer named Javed Siraj. So this is Chiranjit, isn't it? Is this the first time that we've seen a lower division or not? At the national level and the FIFA is involved over here, and
obviously that's what I mentioned. That FIFA has taken a bigger, maybe because of the Under-17 World Cup happening this season, or just their increased interest in India. They are taking a bigger purview of whatever has happened, and Sports Radar has been employed by FIFA for that purpose. Even at the bottom levels, they are looking at it, and that's where this actually happens. In the National League, I-League, you don't see match fixing. You don't really see any kind of that kind of corruption happening where all the eyeballs are, where you have a television broadcast, where you have thousands and millions of people watching. You don't really see that kind of corruption taking place because the stakes are that much higher. So, one of the main reasons, apart from like vanity or ego or just my team is playing and I want to make it survive in the Calcutta League Premier Division, what drives these match fixing rackets is the money, is the bookie. And by picking these lower leagues, they have been able to, for a long time, just fly under the, for lack of a better word, the radar of FIFA and other disciplinary bodies. So if we are seeing a shift from FIFA that they are taking a deeper look at these leagues, I think this will be actually more helpful and more effective in bringing out all the nefarious rackets that are active in Indian football.
Yeah.
So
this could be just this could be
no,
just
one of the things that I'm actually a bit worried about is that are they actually basing it on somebody predicted the score line? Because that can be a fluke. A 2-1 is not a very uncommon score line, especially when you have a team like Tollygunge and Rainbow who are so close to each other in the points table.
Yeah.
So somebody just says 2-1 and it ends 2-1 and you say, okay, there may be a match fixing. That may not be too much to stand on. I hope whoever has made that accusation has more information, has more leaks, has more details in the allegations, and that's what has moved FIFA's hand here.
Yeah. So
a lot of people are on the spot here. The coaches are under the radar. IFA is under the radar, and we have two clubs who have their own things to prove. Tariganj and Ragami used to be a big name in Indian football at one time. They do have a good following, not very big. And Rainbow FC are one of the new kids. I think they have just made it to and they are going to try to make their mark at the Premier Division of the CFL. And this is a time when CFL is more popular than ever in recent memory.
Right.
More people are watching, more people are coming to the games. There's increased interest in every level. And the league will probably grow in the coming years. So all that being in mind, I have now to clean this up. Because you cannot have this hanging around when the next league comes around.
All right. So that's a point that Chiranjit mentioned earlier in his points over this allegation. So it's not the end of the season. Again, we've got around 4 games to go for Tollygunge and 3 games for Rainbow. What this makes is it could be a possibility of. But again, it's the FIFA's authority that we are talking about. It couldn't be wrong because there are sources who have already made it clear that they did have this result predicted, and so that's the reason they are looking at an angle where both teams can be involved. And already Subhash Bhaumik, the coach of Tollygunge, has denied this, saying that these are false allegations, and he's certain that there's no match fixing, at least from his side. We have to yet wait and see if this if there's any truth in the rumors and something that's come out as a big shock to both teams. So we'll take a short break over here and we'll come back with another topic.
Shunyawan, 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 Shunyawan.
$1 billion acquisition. Another copycat startup got formed.
No, the tech world in India is surely moving double the speed of this voiceover.
Tune in to Shunya One every Tuesday to catch us talking to the smartest people we know on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Welcome back after that short break, and moving on to another topic that we talked about earlier is the I-League. Things heating up over there because we just got to know there are some bids that have been kind of we do get some inside information that there are 3 direct entries that are expected to be part of the I-League 2017-18 season. Chiranjit, is that correct? 3 direct entries for this season?
We are expecting that, but it may actually come down to 2. I don't know how many will be picked out of the bids that have come in. So 3 bids have been submitted, same as the first round, which failed because none of the bids actually met the criteria that AIFF set forth. So we had Gokulam FC obviously from Malappuram, Ozone FC from Bengaluru, and this new club that wants to come out of Rajasthan, which I think is a bad idea at this point. So if it's two clubs that are coming in, because we already have Arrows, which are almost certain to take part in the 2017-18 season. Because Arrows will have the Indian under-19 and under-17 players.
Correct.
And so if that's the team you're taking, so we're going to be too short, because Bengaluru FC have gone for ISL, and DSK Shivajians will probably not field a team. So we can either see one or two bids being accepted from here, and it should. I hope it. The priority goes towards Gokulam FC, because they're coming out of Malappuram, and obviously they will sell out most of their matches. It's going to be great to finally see a club from North Kerala play at the highest level. So that is fingers crossed for that. Ozone FC, obviously, if we're going to take two clubs from the bids and one extra to make it probably 11 for this season, I don't know. I'm actually unsure whether they will go for an odd number of clubs in the league this season. But we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah. So, would it be interesting to see two clubs from the same city? So, Bengaluru is already there playing in the AFL. I'm talking about Bengaluru FC, and the Bangalore football stadium is what might just be the home ground for Ozone FC. So, it'll be a good divide to see the crowd. One in the I League, one in the ISL. Where do the fans go? So that'll be a test for both fans who've seen some football coming up from their own city. Bengaluru FC, again, not too old in the scene there, because it's just like fourth. This will be their fifth season, right? So Ozone FC comes in at a time where football is getting popular, and it'll be nice to have a good set of fans for both teams coming out from the same city.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this in the podcast before. The fans of Ozone FC will be very different from the fans of Bengaluru FC. This will be a suburban crowd, probably a lower class. I mean, not lower class, but more class diverse. We're going to see a lot more working class people who will turn up to support Ozone FC. The kind of crowd that you see in the City League, the Bangalore Super Division or whatever they call it. So it's good, but Ozone FC does not excite anyone, the way that Gokulam FC does. So yeah, maybe Ozone FC comes in, they have a good stadium. Bengaluru is already getting more and more involved in Indian football. So they can sustain two clubs in two leagues very easily. That way it's good. But there should not be any situation where, that's the only bad thing that can come out of this, is that they take Ozone and Arrows and that Rajasthan club, or just Ozone and Arrows, and don't even take in Gokulam, because Gokulam is pivotal. That is the club that I'm looking forward to this season, because that's going to change the way you look at I-League.
Correct.
And just look at the setup for I-League this season. We have DSK Shivajians, who did not draw much crowd over the last few seasons. They are probably not going to be there. We have Churchill Brothers, who draw some crowd at Tilak Maidan. East Bengal and Mohun Bagan want to shift to their own grounds. Actually, yesterday there was a filing made by East Bengal to AIFF that they want to play some of their home games at their own ground, because what I'm hearing is in the middle of October, around 15th or 16th, both East Bengal and Mohun Bagan are starting major renovations in their own stadiums. So Mohun Bagan are going to build two new dressing rooms, and there's going to be a new tunnel for the players to come in to the pitch, and there's going to be some mobile toilets installed, and East Bengal are going to get floodlights. So they just got the permission to install floodlights earlier this year. So they want it to be in place by November, December, so that maybe in January, February they can shift from Salt Lake Stadium and play most of their home games in the East Bengal ground under floodlights. So once those things are in place, and you have those matches selling out mostly, and you have Neroka coming in with a huge amount of crowd, Aizawl FC will be popular as ever. Shillong Lajong will draw enough crowd. So you don't really have those clubs in there anymore which play in front of empty stadiums.
Yeah.
So to add Gokulam to the mix, who are likely to sell out crowds again. So yeah, you have a league for the first time in years where almost 60-70% of the clubs are really popular, who sell out matches, who play in full stadiums. So it looks better on TV as well, which will reflect that way in the television ratings too. So there's a really good chance that I-League will have its most popular season by far this time if they get Gokulam into the mix.
Yeah.
So Gokulam is obviously the priority here.
Yeah.
There cannot be any two minds about that from the ISF. Whatever it takes, get Gokulam in.
Yeah. I just want to throw some light on these two contrasting clubs again. The Ozone FC compared to Bengaluru FC. What the difference between Bengaluru FC and any other club we've seen who come up recently is the promotion that they've done, the advertising that they've done. They've gone to colleges, they've gone to places, they've made themselves known, and that's how the fans got to know about Bengaluru FC. And they've won the trust of the fans and they've delivered. So this is an example of, if somebody wants to take a cue from Bengaluru FC, this is really the way to go. And Ozone FC is actually might just benefit out of the popularity that Bengaluru FC has got to the city for football. And coming back to Gokulam FC, this is a state where even if you just consider a small part, that's Malappuram, this is where all it's kind of hotbed for all footballers to be born there. And we've seen a lot of talents coming out from places like Malappuram and Kannur, and Gokulam FC, automatically will draw the crowd that's already in place. Football crazy fans. You don't need to do the publicity that that will get the crowd to the stadium. That's it's inbuilt. I would say this is going to be a great mix. Both these new teams that will come in, and a great start, I would say, for this is probably going to be the only season where you'll see both ISL and I-League running together. So, Chiranjit, your final thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, let's just hope we get Gokulam in there and 10-11 clubs. It doesn't matter if we have a couple of clubs that don't really draw that big crowd like Chennai City or Minerva Punjab or even Arrows. I don't think Arrows will have much of a fan following. All of those shortcomings that I-League has will be made up for by a club like Gokulam, because it will draw interest from the Keralites all over. And if there is a club which is popular in its locale, it actually gets a lot of interest from the from the spectators who are not their fans. Like Bengaluru FC doesn't really have a huge fan base, but whenever Bengaluru FC plays, everybody turns on the TV and watches because they are that interesting. They have that character. So I think Gokulam FC has the same potential that everybody will tune in to watch their matches, and that's what we need. We need interesting clubs with interesting stories playing out of very crazy venues where people actually take passionate interest in football. And that's how Indian football gets highlighted. That's how you actually have a proper national league that has a pan-India presence. You have the crazy part of Kerala. You have Aizawl. You have Manipur. You have Kolkata. The best locations in Indian football represented in the top division. So hopefully AIFF does it right, and hopefully they do it right this time. Like the 15th September is when they're opening the bridge and announcing the decision.
Yeah.
I hope it gets resolved there and does not end up in a situation like last season where the clubs were told 10 days before the league starts that, okay, you're playing. So that is disastrous if you leave it hanging till then. So hopefully it gets over this week.
Yeah, hopefully AIFF also learns the lesson that they have been learning all the while, but never been shown to practice. That every team, every management of the club requires some time to gather a squad together. And considering this might be the last season of I-League, let's hope that every club and every management is given enough time and to show their best efforts. And also on that note, I want to express my deep desire to see Mumbai FC back. At least one team from Mumbai FC should be there. Again, there's no news on the petition that came about, and still no signs of Mumbai FC either. Just throwing some light whether they would continue or would they be shutting down. So let's hope for the best, and we get to see some local football over here. So that's it for today's edition of the TFG Indian Football Podcast. If you're listening to us on YouTube, do not forget to like, share, subscribe and comment. IVM Podcast is an app that you can download for many such shows like TFG Football. That's available on Android and iOS. You can also listen to the podcast on major podcasting apps like SoundCloud, iTunes, etc. Till another episode, see you guys. Bye.
That was Tantrik Steve from Hansraj College, Delhi, performing at IIT Bombay's Mood Indigo. Just like them, there's a lot of new talent and art coming out of colleges all across India, but unfortunately most of this goes completely unnoticed or ignored. To fix this, we started atkt.in. Hi, I'm Ankur, I'm a musician and a rapper, and I found that one of the best things about being an artist myself is finding new talent. Through atkt.in, Tanya, my colleague who's a dancer, and our whole team really is putting all of our efforts into discovering and promoting all the coolest talent that's coming out of colleges all across India. And this goes up on our website, our social media, TV, radio, and now, of course, this podcast with IVM. Make sure you go to our website, support the talent with your likes, your shares, your comments. All of that really matters. Go ahead, check it out. atkt.in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.